There are 7 layers of awareness. I'll put, a link to the video that I did that actually went through all of these in depth, so I won't go through it again. I will do 1 and 2 because those are the most important for this conversation. Level 1 in the awareness is unconscious awareness, survival, or intuition. In this state of being, so like I want you to think of levels of awareness as frequencies. Frequencies is the best way to describe it, because one, everything on this earth does run on a frequency. Like this this board in my hand has, you can't see it, but I'm holding up like a whiteboard. It vibrates. The particles in this whiteboard are vibrating at a certain frequency. I'm vibrating at a certain frequency. Like everything that is solid is just vibrating so fast, or so slow, I don't know, one of the two, that it feels solid, but the particles in water are vibrating in a way that they feel liquid. The particles in the air are vibrating in a certain way that they feel like not there. Everything vibrates at a certain frequency. And when you think of frequencies as like, radio stations, if you are on one frequency at a radio station, you will be able to hear certain music. But then if you turn to a different frequency, you will be able to hear different music, but it's the same radio. So as a human, we have the ability to vibrate at different frequencies depending on our mental state of being. So if you are vibrating at a lower frequency, you will have a lower awareness of everything that is happening. But when you change your frequency by things like meditation, introspection, by presentness, centeredness, breath work, like all those things, they help raise your frequency. Like bells are a way that humans can raise their frequency. Different I have incense is another good one, like different like smokes and smells. Like there are so many things that ancient people, natural people, herbal people, like they know, like Reiki, like all these people, all these things that people in the West try to tell you, oh, that's, woo woo juju, like witchcraft or whatever. They, again, this narcissistic white government, they steer us away from all of the ancient techniques that worked, because they know that once people rise to a higher frequency, the programming doesn't work. The programming doesn't work. I can't emphasize that enough. When you raise your awareness, that means you are raising your frequency. When you raise your frequency, you raise your awareness. And when you raise your awareness, you can see through the programming. And once you see through the programming can't control you. You're no longer running the program anymore. You will not run the narcissistic program. The narcissistic program only works at a low frequency. It literally only works well when people raise their frequency, raise their level of awareness, raise their freedom, like their ability to think independently, think critically, come to their own logical conclusions, trust their self, trust their gut, trust that I have this understanding and I know it is real because of my intelligence, because I trust myself, because I've done my own work, I've done my own research, I've done my own introspection, I've done my own deep thinking. And so now I know what the heck is going on. So, but they keep us trapped in these jobs. They keep women with like knocked up with kids. They keep men in this like stupid patriarchal state, so that the vast majority of humanity, but I don't want to say humanity because I'm not. Now, I'm going to say the vast majority of humanity, but specifically America. America is the most low vibrational place on planet Earth right now. I can tell you that for a fact. This place is full of narcissistic programming, and the programming only works when people are at a low frequency. But that is also why the great awakening that is happening, that people are saying like, oh my god, the great awakening is happening, people are waking up. That is because hey, stick with me, the planetary, we are moving into the age of Aquarius, and that has to do with the planetary rotations and the way that the planets are moving. The frequency of Earth is rising. The frequency of planet Earth is rising. And so the frequency of all of the people and entities in it are rising as well, causing our individual frequencies to rise, or make it easier for our individual frequencies to rise, and thus for us to wake up from the narcissistic programming. Like literally the planets are moving into okay, if you're on a radio station in one state or city and then you're driving and you stay you stay on that same radio station and you go into a different like place, the song, like it'll start getting fuzzy where you were, and then it'll start getting clearer the closer you get to where you're going. You're on the same frequency. Your position has changed. And so that is what is happening with like planet Earth. Planet Earth, the frequency is moving just into a place where the frequency of Earth is resonating higher. And so people are waking up. Okay. And so there are 6 to 7 levels of awareness or frequencies that humans can go into or rise to. But, again, this is like ancient wisdom, and there's no like different indigenous cultures have this same concept. Like Africa has, what do they call it? Energy channels. Yes. Africa, we call them energy channels, but in Asia, we call them chakra channels. And I'm sure if I can find some Native Americans, they'll probably have a different Reiki, I think it's somewhere else. But like all of these ancient indigenous cultures everywhere but Europe basically has the same beliefs. Like, I don't even want to call it a belief system, because it's like if 85% of the human population understood and believed, understood how nature works. I don't want to say believed, but it's like if 80%, 85% of the world understood how the world worked, and the spirit world and the metaphysical world and all that, and then 15% showed up and said, no, that's wrong, you're backwards, this is how it's supposed to be. I'm like, for hundreds of thousands of years, this is what we did and this worked. And then you show up, and for the last 10 to 12,000 years, we did what you did. And now here we are with the Epstein files. Okay. So anyways, I don't want to say this is a belief system, because it's more like it's a knowing. Like, again, once your frequency gets to the point where you are resonating with the spirit world, like your frequency and the spirit world frequency are on the same channel, you'll know what I'm talking about. But so to start, so level 1, unconscious awareness. This is essentially how people are born. They're not aware of themselves. They're not aware of the things around them. All they know is like, I'm hungry, so I cry. And like, you don't even know that. You're just doing as a baby. You're just doing. But adults can be in level 1, and a lot of women are stuck in level 1 when they are in crap relationships with narcissistic men. Because what it'll look like is that their actions will be driven by instincts and deep conditioning, with little to no self-reflection or introspection, meditation, all the things I talk about. And they're often influenced by fear, trauma, or habitual behavior. So like if you are a woman and you're in a narcissistic abusive relationship, you are living day by day just to survive. You're walking on eggshells. You're doing anything you can not to upset this man. Like you when you're deep in an abusive relationship, you don't know. You are unaware that life could be different. You are unaware that you deserve better. You are unaware that other people will love you differently. You are unaware that this person doesn't actually even love you. You're unaware that they are using you for everything you got. You are unaware that you can change. You can do different. You can pick a different path. You don't know that any of those things exist. You don't feel like, in your heart, you don't feel like you have any other choice but to live this way. You are in that box with no other options in sight. And so you are just living your life day by day, trying to survive, living off of habits, etc. And then these people living off of fight or flight responses is like, and these are people who, when they never heal that trauma and they just live in this state of unconscious awareness, like you can say something to that person and they'll just snap. Like a person who has been a victim for a very long time, until they heal that trauma, you can't talk to them. They will abuse you. They will hurt you. Because they are fight or flight. It's just like anything you say to them, they feel like they're being attacked, because the only thing that they know inside their box is that people attack them. Like they've only been in a box where people attack them. So if you say something that is like, a gentle critique or like a suggestion even, they are ready to bite your head off, because they are still under this narcissistic programming that that they are worthless. They like most of the like they are sleepwalking through life. They don't know what is happening. A lot of these people have addiction issues, right? Because they feel like they all of their life they are in this box and they have nowhere else to go. And so they start doing substances as a way to escape their reality, but they don't understand that they can leave the box. So that is level one. That is like not most people, but most people are actually here at level two. Okay. Level two is this. I don't want to say it's my favorite level, but it is the most common. It's not my favorite level. Like, it's not like this is a terrible level to be at. Like out of 6, y'all, level 2, you got a ways to go. But this is where most people live. This is where the vast majority of America lives. They have subconscious awareness, they are emotional and programmed. They are influenced by hidden beliefs, emotions, and past programming. Okay. So patriarchy, right, is a hidden belief. It is the past programming. Every time you watch a TV show that shows a man and a woman getting together, having kids, the man making all the money, or they show you My Rich Life or Cribs, or like if you're looking at capitalism, when they show you all these amounts of wealth in a positive light, or when they show you like people corporate, they show you people in a corporate job in a positive light. Whenever they show you white people in all of these movies and all of these things in positive lights, whenever they show all these religious people in positive lights, and whenever they show able-bodied and neurotypical people only and in these positive lights, all of that is programming. All of that is teaching you, the human being, that this is what life is. This is what it's supposed to be. And I feel like, part of that is probably why I am such a, well, one, I have ADHD, so I am a neurotypical person in general. And then I'm also a Cancer, which makes me deeply empathetic. And when you are deeply emotional and in touch with your empathetic and in touch with your emotions, it is very hard to disconnect your self from your emotions. And so whenever it's always been that whenever I feel something, I was aware of that feeling, because I've always been like, my emotions are always just been strong, and having strong emotions is a fantastic thing. You should be able to control them. Your actions should be regulated. You should have regulate your emotions, but if you have big or strong emotions, like instead of trying to suppress them or hide them or drug them away, you should look at them and sit in them and figure out where they're coming from. So I've always just been like that. And then I grew up poor. So I didn't have TV. I didn't have TV. I didn't have cable. I didn't have games. I didn't have a lot of things that the normal person has, or like normal, but like I would say, well, the non-impoverished person has. And so I read a lot of books when I was a kid. So I wasn't programmed. The long story short is I was not programmed as a kid. I did not go through the programming system that is watching TV, that is watching movies. And so whenever I grow up into an adult and I'm like meeting all these other people who have all these thoughts and think this way, and I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, you don't see how that's weird. You don't see how that's wrong. You don't see how that's strange. You don't see how that's different. You don't think things couldn't be different. Can't think of nothing else. This is it. I skipped the programming. I skipped the programming class when I was a child. Thank goodness. And so I'm not programmed, but all of that media that most people consume when they are children, that is programming you. That is giving you hidden beliefs that you will not know that you have. And then, so what that'll look like is like actions are semi-automatic. It's like, oh, there's a man in front of me. He likes me. I like him. And while you're supposed to take a step back and like think deeply about that, because all of the movies have told you when a man likes a woman and he seems like a regular, decent-ish man, then you're supposed to be okay pursuing it, or be okay with letting him have access to you. So you don't question if I should think critically or think deeper. So it's like you're just like, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I should, because the programming has told you should. So you do. Okay, and you begin to recognize patterns and habits. Like, you notice that everyone gets married and has kids. You notice that everyone goes to get a corporate America job or pursues a corporate America job. You notice that, white people have more economic and political power, and they take up the most, like, they just happen to be in all these positions of power, even across the entire world, even though they aren't actually the majority of the world. And You notice that Africa is poor, and even though it has the most resources, like you got some pattern recognition, but you don't question them. You don't question, you see them, but you're just like, that is what it is. Or the programming has already given you a program to run. And so the programming says, well, Black people are just, they're incapable, they are ratchet, they are dumb, they are criminals, they are violent. And so you don't question why Black people are poor in America, because the programming has already run. It's already told you why. It's already giving you the reason why. And so why would you question it whenever it presents to you as a pattern of evidence? The evidence is there, and the programming gave you your answer. Nothing else to see here, boys. And then emotional triggers, but may not fully understand or control them. And I love this one when it comes to race specifically, because I'll point out things like, like colonialism or imperialism, or like, slavery, and how the generational impacts or redlining, like, and how it's still happening today. And like the prison system, I'll point out all of these things to white people about how Black people are still oppressed to this day. And then their first reaction is anger. And that's how I always know. That's how I always know. If I am talking to a narcissist, a narcissistic person, or a narcissistically programmed person, if any type of narcissistic entity responds to anger and responds with anger when challenged, like that is because it's an emotional trigger. Because triggers come from when there is a deep truth on the inside that has been suppressed, that has been repressed, that has been covered, that has been, like, when your truth, like, because everyone has a truth before we go through our programming, before we like go through this world and have to create our ego, which is the thing that guards us, our true self, our spirit. And before we have all of that, there is your true self, your true essence, who you were as a kid before anyone told you you can't be this or you shouldn't do that. Like that raw human that you were, they are still there. That person didn't just go away. They're still there, but they've been covered with all of this stuff. They've been lied to, they've been tricked, they've been suppressed. And so if something pokes that person, like the ego that has been there to protect them, like that's what that anger, the narcissistic rage, is literally what it's called, narcissistic rage. It comes out when you poke their ego, when you attack their ego. And that's not, it's like you're not attacking their ego. The ego was built on lies. And so when you bring out the truth, the ego, which was built on lies, feels attacked. Because if my worldview is these humans are one way and these humans are one way and I'm one way, and someone comes along and says, no, actually, these humans are not that way, these humans are not that way, and you could be something else. If I've built my entire foundation of life on these beliefs, of not to say of course, but like, of course I'm gonna get angry if you try to change that or challenge that. That's, first of all, that's work. Nobody wants, especially narcissists or narcissistic people or narcissistic entities, they don't want to have to do work, period. And so to change their belief system, to educate them, to deconstruct all of this crap, they would have to do work. And narcissists, they don't want to do work. And the narcissistic belief systems, they don't want the work to be done, because then the system will fall. And so the system and the belief systems, they always react with anger. Sometimes, it'll be the victimization. So like, it'll be like the crying and the woe is me. But for the most part, like 90% of the time, well, okay, I don't know. The victimization, the reverse victimization, like, I don't know. I feel like the emotional trigger, the first part is usually anger. And then the victimization, the tears, the white woman tears, right? Those will show up eventually, especially if the anger doesn't like make the person back down. And then the victimization will come. So it'll always be anger first, and then, the tears. Yeah. So, and then self-sabotage. So examples of this are self-sabotage, which racism is such a, like, all narcissistic systems are self-sacrificing systems. Like patriarchy is not good for men. It does not help men. Billionaires is not good for billionaires, because guess what? Now all the people are not having babies. All the people don't want to work because we're being exploited and we don't like it. No one likes being exploited. And so billionaires want to like we could have such a rich society where everyone does well, but narcissistic systems are so individualistic and want to hold all the wealth and power and goodness of the world just for a few. And so but that's not sustainable. That's not how Mother Nature works. Mother Nature works in system, like, and works in cycles, where the cycles that and ecosystems where everyone shares, everyone does their part, and everyone benefits all together. But narcissism is the opposite of that. It's like everyone does what I tell you to do, and then all of the goodness comes to me. And so no system like that is ever going to last very long because it's quite literally unsustainable. Like, so billionaires, it's not, instead of sharing their billions with everyone, they want to keep it. But what's going to do is going to create a class of people who hate billionaires. Hello, Luigi. And then people who end up revolting. It's always going to end in a revolt because nobody wants to be poor and subjugated and exploited for their entire lives. Like, that's silly. Corporate America, it's a stupid thing because your workers are not going to work nearly as hard as if they were actually being compensated well and treated well. And your whole entire company would do better if you didn't exploit your workers. But then you wouldn't have as much power as you have. So the trade-off for a narcissist, it is self-sabotaging, but for them, it works because I'm on top white people, right? Racism has been exploiting white people forever. Every time a black person gets access to something like healthcare, white people, and then white people vote on it. It's just like, can everyone have healthcare, including white people and black people? Or no one has healthcare, and white people, you'll have to pay for it, and black people, they can't afford it, so they won't have it. White people have always voted, I'll just pay for it. They've always voted, I'll pay for it, so black people can't have it. Same thing happened with schools, with nice houses, like everything. Instead of making things easily accessible to everyone, they always say make it extremely hard to accept, extremely inaccessible to everyone, and then the people who can't access it can only be the people with money, and we'll just ensure that white people have money. But what has ended up happening is that obviously the systems of power have been like, okay, we've taken all the money from black people, we've taken all the money, we've exploited the crap out of Native Americans and Hispanic people. We're exploiting the crap out of brown people who are immigrating over on H-1B visas because they sure are. If you don't know about that, that's a whole nother video. But if you come over on an H-1B visa, they enslave you. And then Asian people who, they don't feel so Asian people, they felt the racism too, especially when COVID happened. And so now it's really just like so now there's like more racial solidarity between all the races outside of white people and white people. And so all the people of color essentially have been like, we are opting out of this stupid racist stuff. And it's just like white people are the only ones who are left. And so the system will then cannibalize white people because it's like, y'all are the only ones with money. Y'all are the only ones who have anything left to exploit. And then also it's a power trip because it's like, why exploit black people when anyone can exploit a black person? I want to exploit white people because you have to have power to be able to do that. And that's what Jeffrey showed all of us, and Donald. So that's self-sabotage. All narcissistic systems are self-sabotaging. They're unsustainable. They don't work, but they don't care about, they're not future-oriented people. They kind of are, but like not in an intelligent way, in a selfish and self-sabotaging way. Repeating relationship issues, and then unconscious bias is another example of someone stuck in a level 2 subconscious awareness. So that they have unconscious bias. And so if you are a white person, I always tell white people, like I would say 95% of white people are racist. Like, it's either you're racist or you don't think you're racist, but you still hold these unconscious biases, and that makes you racist. I don't care. I just don't care what you say. If you're a white person, you're just like you cannot like rap music, but like if you're like, rap is not allowed in my house, or like none of my children can listen to rap, like where does that come from? That comes from not liking some of it can be from, I don't like what is said in rap music, because I will agree with that. But if it's like, okay, what if I'm listening to a conscious rapper like a Kid Cudi or something like that, if you want to call him a rapper, he's a rapper. I don't know. He's like, he's eclectic. But anyways, there are rappers who are not like, misogynistic, awful, curse wordy rappers, but there are white dads who are still like, no, you can't listen to that in my house, but I'm not racist. I just don't like rap. And it's just like, okay, you're not listening to it, Dad. I am. So why can't I listen to it? And it's just like, you're racist. It's like, oh, you don't want to watch this show full of black people? You don't watch The Proud Family? You don't watch Sister Sister? You don't want to watch Dreamgirls? You don't want to watch any of these, beautiful classic black shows or movies? Not in my house. I'm like, no, that means you're racist, Dad. Or if you're a white woman and you see a black person like in the park just reading a book, or like on a yoga mat, and you just feel the urge to go ask them if they're supposed to be here, you are racist. That's racist, Karen. You feel like you have the authority over a black person. I always say white people need to challenge authority and not challenge minorities, but because white people feel like they are an authority figure over black people or minorities, they feel this need, this need to authorize a black person's existence. So it's just like that is the unconscious bias. But they will turn around and say, I'm not racist. Or like or that white teacher who called and was just like, yeah, this ICE, is this ICE? Yeah, I have a student and I went into his files and his parents are from El Salvador, so they might be immigrants. So you should go take care of that. Here's their address. She like broke her teacher privacy privileges or whatever just to snitch on a 6-year-old kid's parents to say that they might be illegal when I don't know if they were illegal or not. The ICE hotline that she called was actually a fake hotline meant to have racist people call in people and then have them, blasted on the internet. It was lovely. But it's like that same teacher will absolutely say, I'm not racist. I'm just trying to make sure I'm following the law. I'm just trying to make sure that, that everyone's here legally like they're supposed to be. It's just like, shut the up. You're racist. You're racist. If it bothers you so much. And then this teacher had said that she met the kids' parents and they seem like lovely people. I'm like, so these people, you said they seem like lovely people, you teach their kid probably don't cause you no issues, no problem, probably one of the most obedient and smart and intelligent kids in the class, but because their parents are from a South American country, you, one, assume that they're an immigrant, and then two, call an evil deportation service on them. But you're not racist. Okay. Yeah. And so this is many, many, many. And then I've got just a good slew of examples of white people having unconscious bias. But also, I don't want to just get on black people because white people, because again, if you are one of these, you are all of these. So like you can go into religion, and when I say the way that Christians judge, like the way that the unconscious bias they have against non-Christians, and like I don't know if you guys have heard of the phrase "there's no hate like Christian love." It's like Christians they suck, man, y'all. They are awful. They are some of the most mean-spirited, evil-ass people. I tell you what, not all of them, right? But again, the way I say not all of them is the same way you can say not all white people, the same way you can say not all CEOs are evil, the same way you can say not all men are evil. But here's the thing: when you are raised in these systems and you are the chosen person of this system, like if you are a man raised in the patriarchy, as all men are, it is going to be a minority of people who are not. Everyone goes through the programming. That's the thing. The programming is the default unless you are lucky enough to somehow escape it. You're going to fall into one of these. There is not one person on planet Earth, and the way that as it stands right now with narcissists running the world, there's not one person on planet Earth who will not have to go through not even one of these programs and then deconstruct that program or deprogram themselves from this program that has been forced upon them before they can wake up and come out the other side. Now, how many programs are being run on you at once is the question. It's not if, it's how many. So like I was certainly, the patriarchy, I had to break that. Like while I wasn't, I didn't have racism, the program of racism run on me because I wasn't the chosen person within the racism program. I still was a woman in the patriarchy. And so I tried my very best to get to this traditional woman. But hey, turns out I'm queer and I've been queer. I've always been queer. But it's like, it was harder for me to be programmed. It's okay. If you are the chosen one in any of these narcissistic hierarchies or programs or brainwashing tools or systems or whatever you want to call them, you will have a harder time deprogramming than anyone else because one, you benefit, and two, because it's like, as you benefit, you don't see the people who don't benefit, or you don't see how because the system is there and it tells you, first of all, it pretends like the system likes to pretend like it doesn't exist. And the systems that can't pretend like they don't exist, like a capitalism, they pretend like they are fair and righteous and just systems that anybody can win. When in reality, all of these systems have an ideal candidate in mind. And so when that ideal candidate shows up, that ideal candidate gets picked, but that candidate doesn't know that they were the ideal candidate. They just figured that all the hard work they've done must have worked. And so when you are the ideal candidate for any of these patriarchal systems, you don't know that you have been picked based on a system. You think you've been picked based on your own merit. And so when you are not the ideal, and you can so easily see that all of these people that are being picked are not better than me. I've done more work, I've studied more, I've seen more, I'm more qualified, etc., etc. It's easy for the people who are not being picked, who deserve to be picked, who should be picked, to be upset. But the system tells you that you shouldn't. Those people tells the person who was picked that you shouldn't. That they are crazy. And literally, and that's what all narcissists do. Once they pick their victim, they tell the victim, the newest victim, that all those other people who are saying that the narcissist, is a bad person, they're crazy. Don't listen to them. You're the prize, baby girl. You're the prize. And so that is what happens when you are a man in the patriarchy. You do everything and you get everything, and you feel like you deserve it because you did stuff and it worked out. When you are a billionaire in a classist system, Jeff Bezos, freaking Zuckerberg, you think that, oh, because I invented this thing, that I deserve this stuff. When in reality, you had a millionaire mommy and daddy that gave you a $200,000 or $100,000 or 100, however much money, lump sum to start kickstart your business. And so you never had to work nearly as hard as someone who came from. You literally started with a head start, and then you get to the top and you're just like, oh, I deserve this. So I could do that across all of these systems, where it's like people, so everyone has to deprogram all of these things, but it's always going to be the hardest for people who are at the top of these systems to deprogram, because they benefit so much and they don't see that they're benefiting, because they think that they've done what they need to do to get what they've gotten. They think that they deserve it. They think that they are better than everyone else because the system tells them that they are. So anyway, and my question to you all is, what is your level of awareness when I